What kind of puppy?
He's a shih tzu.
Ready, Chair.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the August 12th Climate Action Work Group meeting. I'm your chair today, Peter McKenna. We'll start with the land acknowledgement. On August 12th, we acknowledge that this sacred land in which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in Indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We're grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and the water in order that we might meet here today. We're also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which, as you know, runs through Smith Falls. We're mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. Looking at the agenda that has been sent out, does anybody have any changes to that or suggestion to change it? If not, I would accept the motion to accept approve the agenda of the August, moved by Nate, seconded by Danielle. All in favor? Thanks, Peter. Carried. And just for those watching, Peter Rao and Steve Goche are participating virtually. The minutes of the July 15th meeting, they were also sent out ahead of time. If anyone has any changes or omissions they noticed in those minutes. Seeing none, once again, I'll ask for a motion to adopt the minutes of the July 15th, moved by Danielle and seconded by Nate. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of monetary interests that people want to state at this time or at any point in the meeting? Seeing none. Moving right on to 5.1, focus group recap, next steps. I'm looking over to our friend Richard.
Okay. Yeah, so we had I would say a small turnout for the focus group event, but I did think the conversations we did have were fruitful. We were able to collect all the questions and answers on these big large pieces of paper. So people were coming in writing their responses on these sticky notes, and then they're put on these big pieces of paper. So we sort of like just collected all the responses together that we're going to be sharing later. But yeah, I thought focus group was good, and I think the turnout was small, but I think it was hopeful. Given that it was Old Home Weekend bike night, I think there's a lot of things happening that made it not as accessible for a lot of people. So that's just how it turned out. So the next steps would be just updating our list of sustainability goals and giving that to our consultant to review. And then moving on, the next thing that we're having is a community visioning event, and that will be next week, Tuesday, in the same place from 5 to 7. It won't necessarily be a drop-in style. What's going to happen is that there will be 3 mini work assignments that everyone will be given to do, and the whole point of the work assignments is that we're sort of like rethinking how we would be achieving a climate-friendly future for Smith Falls.
And are you leading that?
Yeah.
Or I know I'll be in Ottawa at the AMO conference, so I won't be. Otherwise, I would pop in.
Me too. Everyone's going.
So
Sending your regrets early.
I will be. Also will be away.
Oh, Peter will be away. Where exactly will that take place? Remind the public.
Oh, this will be happening in council chambers in town hall.
Right here.
Yes, on the 19th.
Okay.
It's a busy month. It was hard to really figure out what the best timing was for these events. Everyone seems to be away at some point in August, so.
Any, Mayor Peck?
Yeah, do people have to pre-register or just show up?
You can show up. There's no need to pre-register. You can just drop in.
At any time, drop in between 5 and 7. You don't have to show up at 5 and stay till 7.
Yes, at any time.
Okay. Danielle, did you have a question?
I was just going to say that I can be here depending on
Oh, cool.
what kind of assistance you need. I'm happy to help out, and I can come for the whole thing.
Oh, that'd be awesome. We can talk after.
Not seeing any more comments on that one. Now we're down to NZAP pilot community program.
All right, let's skip to there. You want to speak on that?
Sure, yeah. So that's the program Sue made us aware of. I think there's a lot of overlap between the organization that put together the web app that we've been using and the NZAP program. I know the main contact guy. What's his name? It's
Adler Gross?
Adler. Yeah, he's the guy who is exchanging emails about this program too. So it's
cool.
it's the same people but that program is much more robust, and they've worked with a bunch of universities, and they've developed the term that they're using is it's not climate modeling, it's climate accounting, and I like that term. It's less intimidating than climate modeling, but basically what they've been developing a lot more robust tools for doing the project that we've been engaged in, of trying to both model and figure out data-driven solutions that make sense. And they've rolled out this guide, and that I think I shared that with the group. And, yeah, and that was the first meeting that Sue shared with us, was rolling out of that guide and kind of giving a summary of it. But in that meeting, they announced that part of their plan to I guess disperse the techniques that they've developed is to have this program where municipalities from across Canada can enroll and get one-on-one help from this organization to implement the tools that they've developed. So it's like, if we felt like we're not getting as much assistance as we would have liked from the country in this process, I think that assistance, this is what the answer to that. And it's definitely a program I would encourage us to sign up for. And it was last week that they actually issued the email where registration is now open, and they want you to take like an intake thing and whatnot. But I believe that needs to be municipal staff that do it. I don't think
I checked it out today.
you did. Okay,
I did. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you may be able to speak more about what the next steps of how to make that work. And my understanding is that there's 2 potential streams that you can do, and I think that's largely a question of the staff appetite of who wants to actually sign it. But there's courses, like like you actually get issued university credits for participating in some of these things. It looks really cool. It's a lot of like the geekier aspects of what we've been doing here, but just done by a small army of people that are really good at it. So yeah, I want to strongly urge us to sign up for that program.
When I reviewed the material, I thought there was also an opportunity for a peer, like another small community. Thought there was some peer component to it as well in some of the learnings.
Probably.
There may well be. The program, I think, is for like 250 municipalities, and so I would think there'll be lots of synergy.
Yeah, I could imagine there'd be communication with different people in the cohort. So maybe that's where the peer-to-peer support comes from.
So Richard, when you looked into it, what did you see as the workload or the alignment with what we're doing? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they seem to have a lot of like background information on how to do better inventories, different ways of approaching, say, a calculation for an emission, so that it would be helpful. In terms of the workload, I'm not quite certain yet. I don't know. I know they have a few meetings that happened throughout the year, but I think there are 5. So it seems rather sporadic, so I don't think it's a heavy workload. I think it just depends on how much time we're investing in it.
So do you have a recommendation for us? Do you think the committee should?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, so I've already...
You'll be carrying a lot of the work, that's all.
I know, I'm well aware. I have expressed interest. I'm curious to see how this could help us. I'm just trying to learn more about what it is, if there's a fee or if it's a kind of a free thing. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Mayor Packer?
I guess procedurally, do we need a resolution from council to participate in this program?
I don't think so yet. Like, I don't think they're asking us to sign a resolution or make any sort of promise. But if that does come up, I'll let you guys know. But right now, I think it's just a staff person sort of chairing the sort of like program participation. I don't think it requires any sort of resolution yet. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I guess at this committee level, I think we'll at least pass a resolution here that we pursue participation in this program, and then that way, if it does, if you find out we do need council approval, it can be added to our next committee of the whole meeting and discussed and approved there if needed. Just to be safe.
Okay, it's fair.
So any other comments on this program? I did review the material. Everybody So I would seek a motion to recommend that the Smith Falls Climate Protection Work Group through staff apply. I think you have to apply for
Yes.
NZAP pilot community program.
Mm.
And moved by Nate, seconded by Danielle. Any further comment? All in favor? That's carried. So then, Richard, you could let us know either by email, because we may not be meeting until September 9th.
Yes, right.
If there's anything else you need in the interim while you look into that, just let us know. And as the mayor said, we can get it
Okay.
in front of council if need be.
Okay. All right. I can give a bit of next steps in terms of what to do, what we're expecting to do for the climate action plan, just to be a little easier. So right now, what we're going to be doing is revising the proposed sustainability goals. I have requested the background data that fed into the interim report for you guys to review, so that will be available shortly. And I have collected all of your comments so far that I've received on the report, and I have forwarded them to our consultant at Greenscale. So I'll update you as soon as I hear back about the assumptions that they're using in their calculations, so that there'll be more clarity, especially on the wastewater.
So, thank you. So if we're looking at between now and September 9th, there's a couple things you want us to do. One, if we're available, go to the
Yes.
visioning next
Correct.
week. And two is give feedback on the next draft by August 29th.
No, so this is the one draft you've seen. I'm still waiting on feedback from if there is any available. I'm just saying that this is how long you have to give feedback
All right.
till.
All right.
So that's all. So if you're ready to give feedback, that's okay.
So just to clarify, is like this moment the opportunity to provide feedback on the document that they generated, or are we going to do that later in the meeting, or are we doing
You
that
can
right
provide
now?
feedback now. What I'm saying is that till the 29th, you have that time to provide me feedback anyhow. If
Okay.
you're gonna email it to me, or
Yeah.
so what I'll do is I'll follow up with our consultant and let you guys know what he's discussing, and then we can have a dialogue if there needs to be more clarification. Does that help?
Sure. I had I had some feedback on it.
I can take them after if that works.
I thought maybe we should just as the group talk about there's two different categories of questions, right? The first question was to help us better model the community. And for that one, the main issue I had was the wastewater thing that we discussed. And my hope is that the original modeling that we did was done under the assumption that it was a different type of system than what we actually have. And in fact, the real number is much lower. And my hope is that we get some good news on that we actually have a smaller footprint there, because that footprint has never made sense. That is way too big. And when they said that, when they described the system that they were assuming it was like, okay, that explains it. Because anyway, the other basket of questions is about what is a reasonable goal to set, and that's like the much harder, more fraught one. And I thought they did a pretty decent job of kind of spelling out some of the variables, and particularly in the projection of growth rates, and how that even if we do nothing, we don't expect it to go stagnant. We expect it to go up because our population is growing.
Yes.
And that I thought was a very insightful and helpful. But the thing that I found confusing was the dates that they were assigning. And I think part of the confusion was because they're referencing the Lanark program, and they're also referencing when we start, because I think a bunch of our modeling came from when we first enrolled in the program. So a lot of our dates came from then.
Or the original ones, yeah.
Yeah, because what they're talking about, at one point in the document, they talk about it being 2029 being pretty close, and that that's only 5 years out. And then in the breakdown of the scenario modeling that they did, they do one for I think 5 years out, and then one for 2050, and that I think they misunderstood the homework assignment, because unless I'm misunderstanding it, we don't need to set a goal for 2050 right now. We need a 5-year and a 10-year mark. And I think they answered half of it. They gave us the 5-year mark, which is just the interim to our 10. But the project that we have right now is to set a goal for 10 years from now and a halfway point.
That's
I
right.
think.
That's right.
And so by my reading of the document, they didn't do that. They did part of it. They did the interim one and then the 2050. But the most important number we still need from them, which is
2030?
whatever, like, and that was the other part that I was a little unclear on. In this 10-year time horizon, the clock starts when council approves the plan, right? It doesn't start when the data started or when we enrolled in the program. It starts like, I think that's right. Otherwise we're starting 5 years behind, right?
I see.
we are.
Sue shaking her head. So ahead, Sue. Do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, thank you, Peter. Yeah, no, it actually starts, Nate, at our baseline, which is 2019. And so that's why we're already halfway through it. And it is actually very common in these plans to project out to 2050 too, because that's one thing that is frequently done by senior levels of government. It's also, I think, a cop-out, frankly, right? Frequently to say, we'll do whatever 5% or 10% in the next 5 or 10 years, but by 2050 we'll do this magic, complete reduction. So anyway, I agree with you about the 2050 thing, but it's frequently done in these plans. But we started our baseline year.
By the way, the baseline year is 2021, but continue.
Sorry. Okay. Thinking it was 2019, but anyway.
Original one.
So if we're starting, like, if basically the goal that we're setting was a 10-year time horizon, but we're already 3-4 years in, 4 years in, that basically means like we're halfway behind functionally, right? Like whatever goal that we set, we're not setting the goal 10 years out, we're setting the goal 6 years out. Is that right?
That's right.
Yep.
Does that change because my understanding is there's a check-in halfway through to see how you're doing, and that's that's you're supposed to map out the plan. If that happens next year, like the check-in's going to be like we didn't do anything, right? So like, which we are where we are, but does that mean that the entirety of our homework assignment now isn't to come up with 2 dates, but rather just one goal for 6 years from now?
Interesting. I mean, based on your logic, then yes, but I need to confirm exactly the expectations, because even though we set our mid-year for, let's say, 2026, that's like 5 years from 2021. What we normally do is we would have like annual reporting to be measuring anyways. So we'll be seeing the reductions on the annual rates, and we would just have a measure up from 5 years from then. I can look and see if PCP has any qualms about how we sort of represent the data 5 years out, if it would call that mid-year or if the next year would be the mid-year, and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, and if all we have to do is model 6 years out, our current growth rate that we modeled, we can project that far ahead. So because they modeled 3 different scenarios for a growth rate based on the population in 2025 and in 2029. And it was a good modeling job, but we have clear data on that, since we know what our growth rate has been over the past few years, more or less. We should be able to get more or less a firm number of what the business as usual for 6 years from now is, and then work off of that. So in the way that the Greenscale answered that question in that document, they give us a suggested target for, I think it's 2029, and then the target for 2050. I'm totally aligned with Sue. That's basically a numbers game to distract people from what you're actually doing. The ball game is, what are you planning on doing in the media? Like, what are you actually planning on doing? Right. And for that, if all we have is the 5-year out number or the 6-year out number, I believe the recommendations that they gave were quite modest. Like, I think the number that was in my head was it was going to be somewhere between 10 and 20%, and I think they went with like 6 to 9%. I think those are the numbers. Their recommendation is what they're calling the ground up approach, is a very low target for 6 years from now. But honestly, like, considering that our population is growing and that we've only got 6 years to execute it, even that, without assigning budget numbers to it, I think might be unrealistic or ambitious. But we are now at the point where Greenscale has suggested a number that we are supposed to consider making our plan. So I think we're now at a point where we can discuss if that number would work for people, like, cause we've been avoiding that subject in terms of like, what is the actual number that people would be prepared to vote on? And now that Greenscale has given us a number, can we discuss that part now?
Sure.
Not today.
I don't really have much to go on right now on that topic, but
But in the near future, also your comments are helpful, and I think for Marie's benefit, there is a formal way to, if you have them in bullet point, I think Marie would appreciate getting them, because she's trying to.
I'm sorry, yeah.
And I know Danielle had her hand up as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking about because there's been such a time gap between the data starting in 2021 and it being 2025, and that the municipality has not been sitting on its laurels doing nothing. Like, I think there's probably a lot of action happening, looking at the infrastructure changes that have happened and potential impacts that has had, that there could be things that we're seeing, and I just wasn't sure how does that get accounted for
get
sort of
credit, yeah.
retrospectively?
Well,
interesting.
yeah.
Sue, do you
That-
want to jump
Yeah,
in?
so that midpoint measurement, which for us would be at 2026 then, right? Apologies.
No, I think she paused. She's thinking.
It's a way of assuring that we actually would collect updated data, because there can be a tendency to do a report and then let it sit on the shelf and you drift for 10 years, right? But in ensuring that we have a collection of that same data at the midpoint, it's a way of checking in, because that takes resources to collect that data, right? That's not something that is done annually. So that would then get at your point, Danielle, about checking in, right? To see how we are doing or we aren't doing or whatever.
Because since 2021, the municipalities purchased some electric vehicles. We've separated some.
Yeah, sorry, Peter. The data from the corporate end is easy to collect. The community data is the one that takes the greater.
Takes the resources.
Yep.
So I'm glad Nate raised that point around getting really clarity on the dates. And I think there's consensus that there's nothing wrong with looking at the 2050, but it's not practical for what we want to do. And so really we're looking at 6 years, and Nate's suggesting that in the draft report, the targets are far too modest. And I saw some nodding, and that this would be a discussion. Richard saying would you think in September, Richard, we could have that?
It would be after second visioning, so it'd be more feedback from then. So
We would have finished some visioning, all right? And so that would be September the 9th, and I expect that would take up a lot of our meeting. And
we could break it in half, have 2 meetings or something, so we can discuss 2 things in the same month. I don't know what helps you guys, because I don't want the meeting to be of a certain length. So you guys can let me know how you want to structure that.
we'll have to talk about how to get the most out of that. But definitely early fall, we'd have that discussion, start to some targets for 6 years out. And also in the meantime, as Sue suggested and Nate, that we start working on our midway data for 2026 and the resources required to collect that. Mayor Patrick.
I also wonder, Richard, if you have a chance to connect with staff and see how, look for milestone investments in our asset management plan. And when we anticipate making major investments in rehabilitating, updating, especially municipal buildings, being our largest emitters, especially water and wastewater. And because I think what we want to establish this group is when we do make these investments that we are looking through a green lens and hopefully decisions that will move from natural gas to electricity as an example for some of our energy consumption.
So we're looking at 10 years out, sorry?
Well, that's what I think. Looking at 2030 and maybe 2035, because I don't, so like roughly 5 years from now and 10 years from now, because I think some of those, the asset management plan will have the timelines for these reinvestments to some extent.
Yes.
I think I agree 2050 is a long way out, so we'll be net zero by then, but how much the world is going to change by 2050, and by then it may be too late to make significant changes. So we need to focus on what we can do in the next 10 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can include that. I can include that in the report.
Go ahead, Nate.
Just to add what we were talking about with the climate accounting, a lot of those tools are like very much, there's a lot of overlap between that and asset management plans.
Mhm.
Like a huge portion of what they've developed are systems of incorporating climate lens into asset management plans. And because the ball game is really how do you pay for these things? Like there's lots of technologies. It's how in most municipalities would love to do all of them, but can't afford them. And so it becomes like a question of deployment. And so they've developed these systems for calculating that and figuring out the lowest hanging fruit. And yeah, I'm inclined to think that we should do our best to utilize that program. And even if it means delaying issuing a plan until we've done that, I think it would be a much more robust plan to use them in the process of maybe not in setting the goals if people are anxious to do that now, but in terms of implementing an actual plan.
So like an implementation strategy, so to speak?
Yeah, like I think it would be a completely valid implementation strategy to simply plan on incorporating the asset management strategy into our climate plan. Like that is implementing a strategy, and it'd be an effective approach to that. I think. So if that makes sense. Oh, locked.
Yeah, I think someone needs to have a key. Does yours work? Use mine.
Thank you.
I think they're just getting a glass of water.
I had a funeral I was at.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Then I ran home and ran here.
Oh my goodness.
Good here.
It's a hard day to do some vigorous exercise like that.
So that is exactly.
I don't mind.
So we're just taking a brief pause for 1 minute.
Sure.
Numbers up there.
Oh, the other screen isn't on. I don't want to turn anything off. I feel like I'm going to turn off something.
Just take a minute, 2-minute pause here.
You fade away here.
Thank you.
Okay, just the minutes will show that Linda has joined the meeting at this time. Sue, you had your hand up?
Yeah, so where we left off there was Nate was talking about, I believe, integrating the asset management plan into the climate plan. And I'm actually really anxious to see that climate intentions are integrated into the current asset management plans. So I don't know where they stand, right? I don't know what the status is of the asset management plans, but I would want to see that, right now, as they're being done, that climate goals are being, and we don't have established goals. I appreciate that, but that somehow or another the issues are being integrated into the thinking in the asset management plans, so that, for example, there's a real driver there to try to convert the sewage treatment system from natural gas to electricity.
Well, we've just, if my memory serves me, just a couple of months ago adopted the new and improved asset management plan. And it is not carved in stone. And I think recommendations coming out of this committee could, and there is definitely, I won't say there was a climate lens applied to the asset management plan, but it was It's, well, it's in there, but I think we could emphasize or have more specific recommendations, and it might be helpful for this group, if you're not familiar with the asset management plan, we could have a presentation on it this fall and to see where there are opportunities to, as we get closer to targets.
Would it be the same day of the report or no?
Pardon me?
Would that be the same day of the report? Interim report?
I don't know just yet, thinking about process, but not all of us work with asset management plans all the time. And we have a new and improved one, and they follow a very strict guideline from the province on how you do them. And so I do know that there is an emphasis on many aspects, including climate change, but I'm not saying it's the driver. It's more about protecting the life of the assets. It's more about servicing population efficiently and effectively. But you can't do that without considering the impacts on the climate.
Yeah.
So if people, Richard,
No, you can finish your thought. I had a question.
just if the committee felt that would be, because we've got a very good slideshow laying out the asset management plan. It's not long, and then you would get a sense of having listened to that, where there might be opportunities both in the next 6 years and then in the long.
I think that would be great, Peter. I really do.
If this slideshow exists, can we not share that already?
It is. I think having somebody present it and talk
Okay.
and answer questions is,
Yeah.
it is a little dense. I'm still, you really need to, it's took me, and I'm not very bright, but it took me in my first term, a couple of years to really get my head around. I understood what it was, but I really appreciate the value of it now that the nuance of just, it's a brilliant idea. It's worldwide too, by the way. It's not,
Yep.
we aren't inventing this.
Yep.
But there's a strong correlation between our goals and the goals of that. And we just want to see where we can align or leverage those.
Yep.
Presentation, the guy presented it at the council meeting. Is that the one? That was a great presentation. Even if we can just share the link to the council meeting where he the guy who did it presented it at the meeting.
Oh, cool.
And it's an accounting system. Like those systems are about figuring out how quickly different pieces of infrastructure are deteriorating, how much it's going to cost to replace them, and then making an incremental calculation based on that, and then doing that for everything. It's really, it's kind of agnostic to issues like climate change or right or wrong. It's a method of accounting that's been kind of standardized around the world, and Ontario passed a law that everybody needs to follow the same system. And it's a good system. It makes sense. But like the idea behind the climate accounting is that with that data, if you have a clear trajectory of what each of your pieces of infrastructure costs to maintain and what the replacement costs and whatnot are, you can make much more data-driven choices about like, well, if replacing this facility with another facility will cost us $5 million, but we're putting $500,000 into it every year, over the next 10 years, that becomes the same thing. And those types of equations where like, it just allows you to make better informed climate policy. And so that's more my thinking behind integrating it. It's not like, as of right now, I don't think there'd be much reflected in climate change in the inventory, because again, it's a math equation.
I'll go to Mayor Pank.
Yeah, I think it's really how we apply that climate lens or that climate culture corporate wide. How deeply we embed it, and then how broadly as well. So it's not. So I think something we can work on as a committee would be developing what we believe is the most appropriate approach for council to take, and then council can have that decision how we proceed with that. That's what I'd like to see do by the end of this term of council. So small examples, and build on what Needed said. So we had a fire at a public works garage early this year, and we will soon be facing a decision as to rebuild rebuild new or reconstruct what's there now.
Mm.
And so that's going to be a multi-million-dollar decision where it may be a lower initial cost to reconstruct what is there than to build new, but building new may give us opportunities to employ a climate lens more so, and to ensure that the long-term operating costs of it are also much more affordable. So there's different scenarios that need to be considered when we're making that decision. And I think having that climate lens applied to it is something we need to embed in our culture.
I have a question for you. So how would you begin embedding the climate lens in the culture? We have a climate action plan, and then we have a procurement policy that's updated. But beyond that, how would you see it being embedded?
This committee come up with a policy that we would like to see council endorse and apply to our decision making, especially when it comes to capital investments. And there's examples out there. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's a matter of just seeing what works best for our municipality.
Danielle, and then I'll come back to whether we'll just come back and wrap up that conversation. Danielle?
I was just gonna, I just was thinking about the presentation being, that would be a great thing for me to see, whether it's the recording or having one here with the group. I'm just wondering if there'd be a possibility to have that presentation with a bit of a bent towards how you merge the climate change piece. Like, could it be a bit of a revised version for what we're looking at?
Climate lenses.
It could be, but you won't see it this fall. I think Nate hinted that some of the tools in this group that we've just agreed to apply for have tools where they do marry them together. And we could look for examples of those tools and offer that to staff. But that process might take some time. Now, not everybody learns well from a link. They might like a live presentation on asset management. So I'm open to either. It's up to this. If you want to just, it's easy to send you out the link and you can watch it yourself and decide later.
The presentation that Sue shared the link to about the NZAP program, that was a slide deck presented by the people that developed the guide, and it covered. I think it's more or less what you're describing. It talks about, and it was great because then it was a discussion among the audience, which was largely people in positions like us who are trying to work through these things, and they were asking this panel of experts like specific questions about how you calculate the costs of doing an infrastructure improvement if only a small percentage of it is in the name of climate change. And they've wrestled with basically all of the types of questions. Like we say, Sean said, we don't need to reinvent the wheel here. They've got it. But I think that presentation would be at least as useful as the asset management presentation for everybody to watch, to get our arms around the link between these two things. Because I think the messaging out of that presentation was like a huge part of developing climate policy is about how you manage the municipal assets.
And the audience, I think, would benefit from it isn't just us. I think the senior management, if once we sign up for this, we could arrange for them to, because that's really, they're the ones that do the work. So it's, we've agreed we are, go ahead, Sue, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, I'll just be really quick here. I really like this discussion. It would be great, I think, to reshare the links for both of those things with us. The asset management plan and the NZAP. And just to make a point too, I think we did like a year ago, maybe something like that, say that we wanted the climate lens, Bob argues, integrated into the decision-making process. Did we not say that already?
We did.
I think we passed a motion to that effect.
We haven't moved on from that, Sue. Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah, like we actually did pass a motion, and so I guess it would be nice to think that emotion actually does move.
That's the name. Well, then it would be, it wouldn't, just so we can move forward with this, informing our CAO and our treasurer and our director of public works that we are applying for this initiative. There's a tool that we would like them to review, and with the idea that it's a kind of a gift on how they could apply a climate lens, not just to the asset management plan, to a lot of the decision-making processes. But unless this committee, through the mayor and the chair or staff, arrange a meeting, sit down with an agenda and put that on the table, that's something that this committee wants to do. While we're waiting for our final, it won't change our final report any, and the sooner probably the better. Is that the direction the committee would like to give? I mean, we don't tell staff how to do their job, but this is certainly.
We give them jobs to do.
That's right.
So rephrase for you. What would you like? Rephrase that your statement.
Again? Oh, certainly. What I'm saying is the committee is giving direction to the chair, and I wouldn't go anywhere without my mayor, and Richard to meet with CEO Morris or Director Dauber or Director McMahon and say, we've applied for this NZAP.
Oh, you mean the NZAP program?
Yeah, that program.
Yeah.
That program has tools. One in particular that we fits beautifully with our asset management plan, newly adopted. And the committee wants to reinforce our wish to have the climate lens decision tree or process applied to key decisions that the town will be making for the next few years. That's really what the message would be, get their feedback and see if we can advance this, Mayor Panko.
So really the policy developed and then presented to council for approval.
Okay.
And once council has approved it, then it'll be in place for staff to follow.
Right. So the first, I thought, meet with them first.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The ball rolling.
Does the committee wish that give direction to the chair to pursue this? Are we clear?
I have a few questions, but yes, it works.
Seeing none.
Okay, agreement?
Okay.
Be a show of hands.
Well, I was just saying it was agreed.
Great.
And it's good to say it was agreed. And Sean's correct. What we would do is meet with them first, but say that we want to develop a policy that we would bring to council to give that direction.
Okay.
It's also, okay. All right. Thank you. Linda, do you want to talk about the old home week table? And welcome.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Peter and Sue for helping me at the curling club. It actually, all in all, we did have a good day because we weren't out with the main people, but everybody that was there pretty well come and seen us. And we have quite a few names on the email list. What Sue and I were concerned about is everybody that was on the email list and talked to us didn't know we existed. So we decided that is the problem of this. People need to know the norm, need to know we have a climate, because most of them were quite happy that we actually have one and was interested in it. So we decided maybe we should sort of homepage that you do. Could he maybe give the town, the followers at least that know you, that we do have a climate control committee and what we are doing? Everybody took the information home, but we didn't reach only the ones with kids that really came into over at Curling Club. But all in all, we had a good day. I was happy with it.
I think we haven't done a lot of outward communications regarding this group.
Nope.
Because we've been working away at things without having major results. So I guess when we have our climate action plan, obviously that's something we want to make sure the community is fully aware of. But I can work with our communications team about having just an interim communication as to where we're at and what's coming.
Danielle?
We did do a health unit post about the focus group to try and promote that, but that's, if there is a post, we can also push it a little bit too, if that's helpful.
Absolutely.
Sue?
Yeah, no, I'd agree. If that could be done, Mr. Mayor, just prior to the focus group meeting next week, that may well help to bring people out for that, right?
Is there more? Do you have another slide or that's?
There's another slide, but that's it.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Can I add one more thing to?
I assumed it was around this topic. Okay.
So I'm not sure. I know this is in the weeds here, but I'm not sure where that list ended up, Linda. The sign up list, because I know Richard was trying to find it earlier.
Yeah, it wasn't part of the thing I got.
And so it was there? Okay. Because
I
there
couldn't find it.
no. Oh. Okay. So I think it's important that between Richard and Linda that it be found, because that's, another whatever 15 people or so to add to our list, and that's the most that's gold. People who are interested, right? And they are expecting to hear from us about the focus group meeting. So that needs to be found. But the other thing too is one person in particular had some genuine complaints about waste management. And I wanted to ensure that that came forward and that somehow he was addressed, right? I know, that's what counselors spend most of their time dealing with is complaints. But this was in relation to climate change and to the management of waste in the town. So that list needs to be found because the note from that person is on that list.
Do you know where the list is, Linda?
The rest is, you've got the list. I gave all that paperwork that Sue left with the email addresses. That man's email is on that same list. Sue wrote down complaint beside it,
Right.
so you would know the difference. Yeah.
Where did it go?
To Richard.
When I
I gave it all to Richard in that folder.
When I got it, I only had a one sign-up sheet with one email on there. That was the only thing that I found that was a sign-up sheet. I don't know where the rest were, so I don't know what happened in between when I got it.
His complaint was basically.
No, I just want the list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, yeah, okay, yeah. No, what was left in all the paperwork, Richard came and I gave everything that was on the table, which included that email list for people to get information. That's the paper it's on.
All right, I'll double check, but I didn't
We'll
see
take it
the first
offline.
time.
Maybe we can find it. Danielle?
I was just going to mention too that I remembered hearing that comment at the focus group too about people being surprised at our group, not knowing that our group existed.
Mm-hmm.
So just wanted to I did hear that from one or two people,
Okay.
right?
All right. Well, Peter, Al, go ahead.
Yeah, and also too, it was nice to partner with the health unit because their handout are very factual and very informative. And I think if we could generate something along that line, we'll get more people's attention.
Thank you. Sure, the health unit
Yeah,
appreciate
there
it.
was no negativity in it at all.
No, that's good.
Except that one little, about the garbage man, but other than that, there was no negativity from anybody about it. They were
No, I
quite interested.
appreciate the volunteers who gave up that day. I was there early in the morning.
I seen you, yeah.
Trying to get around to everything. So thanks for doing that. That brings us to roundtable. If anybody has any items they would like to discuss. Are those your topics, Richard?
Just one. It's just there's a round 2 for the rural transit feasibility study. So
Yes.
we'll have a drop-in session August 12th. Well, that's today from 4 to 7 at Mississippi Mills, Almont Library, and tomorrow in Smith Falls at Town Hall from 2 to 4. So there's 2 dates, one for today in Almont and one for tomorrow for Smith Falls.
Okay,
I was
Danielle?
just gonna update on a couple things. One, I wanted to mention that the rural transit study, the health unit also sent a letter along similar lines, just to make sure that you knew we were also kind of proposing that they consider on-demand and electric vehicles and that sort of thing, as well as a few other accessibility pieces. And the other thing was I did mention to Marie about doing an update for the climate change vulnerability assessment. And I was going to be on the September agenda, but if that's too full, we can change that. It shouldn't be a long update because it'll just be sort of the next phase because we went through most of the presentation. I think Zara gave you that previously, but I can
Right.
kind of skim through the main stuff and just focus on the vulnerability assessment, what was found and some of the highlights.
Yeah, I saw that offer and that was geared for September, but if not, fine. If we can do both, like we also wanted to talk about the setting some of the objectives, the
Yeah.
goals.
We can we can put it there as a second and then defer if we need to.
All right,
I'm happy to kind of
yeah, put it second.
do it
then
there or do it in the next meeting. That's fine. So,
Okay.
and that just remind people that I'm trying to get some contacts for the climate change updates, just to create a distribution list for a couple reasons. One, because I suspect there's going to be more information coming out and I want to quickly be able to reach out to those key contacts. And secondly, just to be prepared, because I know through our health unit merger and new team structure that I just want to make sure that we have that ready to go depending on which team is going to do what work, and that we can share information in a coordinated manner. So that's so if anyone wants to be added to that distribution list, so it's going to be climate change related information that we would use it for.
I'm assuming you have me on there, Danielle.
Well, I sent sort of a list of sort of all the details that I need from people, so I only have Richard so far.
Oh,
But I do have you on my list of people to ask if you want to be on the list.
And is it a matter of just telling you?
Yeah, you can. I think I can glean some of that information, but there might be a couple of details. I don't think. Do you remember when I sent you that? I don't think there's anything
No, you're
that I
looking
wouldn't
for
be able
like,
to kind of pull out. It was like agency and role and blah blah blah. Like,
Okay.
but I think
it's contact information.
yeah, okay. I'll just how about this? I'll try and add you guys to it,
Okay.
and then if I run into any missing information, I'll let you know.
You asked for my bank PIN number?
Is there anything in there?
No. So then that's good.
Okay.
uh,
Didn't want to assume you wanted information from us.
Saying we're moving, unless I hear otherwise, to our next meeting, September the 9th. We've laid out.
sorry, Peter, I do
Okay,
have some
so-
roundtable items
Yeah,
if you
please.
don't mind. Okay, so on September the 9th, Climate Network Lanark is presenting to Smith Falls Council on our Climate Concierge project. And that's following through on the Equity for All committee too. And then also this Friday, we and our subgroup Seniors for Climate are going to be at the Smith Falls Farmers Market with information on our concierge project and also on the big seniors climate event, which this is a national event coming up on September 20th. And it's a big rally, protest, that type of thing nationally. So we're going to be doing some local things on that. So if you want to get a bit more information, come out to the Smith Falls Farmers Market this Friday. And that's it.
Is it literally called the Big Seniors, or it happens to be a big event?
It's a big event. It's a national event, and it's under the banner of the Seniors for Climate. And
Where is it
basically, So what we're planning so far, because we have done this now for a number of years, is a protest in Perth at Highway 7 and oh Lord, I'm sorry, my head is gone. Right in front of Shoppers, just because it's on the highway and it's a big thing. But we are looking at other events that day too. But it is a huge national thing to draw attention. And this Seniors for Climate has been growing over the last couple of years. Basically, it's a bunch of we seniors who are saying there's no time to waste. And it's time, frankly, for we seniors who have time on our hands, resources to really activate the army of seniors across the country to motivate action on climate.
Well, thanks for doing that.
We hope other seniors will come out because we don't have any time to waste.
Okay. Our next meeting, we've got down a motion to adjourn. Moved by Nate, second by Danielle, all in favor. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
So when you take your